Hey neighbors, let's look back. I chose 5 favorites from 2024 and 2025. This is a compilation and it's going live on the 11th at 11 p.m. And for the rest of the year, every month on the 11th at 11 p.m., I will show you a compilation of 5 favorites. As always, don't forget to watch, like, and subscribe. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Our final project for this video is a farm home sign. I'm going to be using the paint stir sticks differently than the previous 2 projects. This one I'm going to overlap them. So you can do side side and overlap the top and bottom, or top bottom and overlap the sides. So I'm using this Easter sign from Dollar Tree. Popping up that bunny. Definitely going to reuse him another day. So I smartened up and only used the handsaw. You notice I taped those 2 paint sticks together. I've done this before and it actually helps get the 2 sticks same size, because sometimes that's actually really hard to do. And I got a nice clean cut. So let's go ahead and get this sign painted with the Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. And I painted the whole thing. Now I had wanted to do the crackle method on the sign and I totally forgot. So I'm like, I'll just put some glue on and see what happens. So I spent a good amount of time drying it and keeping it in one place for a long time to see if I could get like a crackle. And I did get, like, it bubbled up in places, and I actually had to like pull off some of the dried glue. So it gave me a textured background. So I wasn't mad that I forgot. And I'll do the crackle on the frame. So this is how I like to do my paint stencils. Some really thick chalk paint and a foam dabber. If the chalk paint isn't thick, I'll add baking soda to it, but this one was nice and thick, so I went for it. And this is like a Java chalk paint, but I actually added some white to it because it was like super dark. And I kind of really wanted to know that it was brown and not sort of look at it and go, wow, that brown is almost black, you know. I also added a little bit of white to the green too, and I like how both those colors turned out. So I'm done with the dabbing. Peel and reveal. Now I did get a little bit of bleeding, but I actually love how the letters came out. I'm just using like a wet paper towel to wipe off where I got some of the paint on the edges of the stencil there, and also where some of the paint was bleeding a bit. So I'm painting the paint stir sticks. I think that's burnt umber. So I remember to paint them brown first. Now I'm coming in with the glue, and this is just regular school glue, white school glue. And then while it's still wet, I come in with the Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I try not to go over it too many times. I try and just do like one stroke in one direction. And then I came in with the heat gun and got that lovely crackle. And it's so fun to do it. I don't know if you can see it so much as it happens here, but you know, in person, it just happens before your eyes. It's just so cool. So I decided the cow needed a little bow. You could also use little flowers there. And then it was still looking a little bit meh. And I have all these shiny wood beads. So I created a pattern for my hanging string. Then I stapled it on the back underneath the paint stir sticks. And I'll give you a good look at this during the final reveal. So I'm just going to call this project number 1 because every project in this video is a spring-inspired welcome sign. Here's some of the supplies I'm thinking of using: that pretty floral ribbon from Temu, these eucalyptus sticks, some little tiny flowers. Those all came from Temu. I have the Chocateur stencil that I got in a group of stencils from eBay. And then I just have a container with a bunch of cut apart spatulas, or whatever you call those. I call them spatulas. And then some single-use packets. I get the single-use packets because I'm in the monthly thing with Chocateur, where you get a package monthly. It's not just a stencil. They give you, like, they might give you a surface, or they might give you 2 or 3 packets. It just all depends. So these shape signs come from Dollar Tree, of course, and they're normally done vertically, like especially at fall and stuff, but this one is done horizontally across, which is a little bit different. And when I was planning this video, I knew that I wanted to use the sign. I've been looking at it for a while. I wanted to use the front, but I just couldn't get rid of the paper and the printing and everything, so I cleaned up the back as best I could, and I'm using my DIY chalk paint that I purchased from Sammy at Unicorn Dust Designs. They have the welcome word sort of in 2 different pieces, and I guess they do that because they can fit it in a smaller package. So I had to cut it apart, and the crappy thing about it is the way they partitioned it off meant that that background was bigger on the ME part there than the first part. So you really had to work at getting it even. And you know, I'm always challenged with that, but I did my best. I used this Current Jam color. It's just this really pretty sort of burgundy pink color that I thought was perfect. One, because when I think of spring, I think of colors, and also the bow I'm going to make has this nice color in it as well, so I knew it was going to match. And you just pay attention to how I get that chalk paste on there. You don't want to glop it on, but you don't want to do it too thin and scrape it off either. You want to just like nice even pressure, and make sure there's not any uneven spots where, you know, there's like a wave, sort of like being able to see a paintbrush stroke in the paint. You want to just use even pressure, and then you'll be fine. I used the floral on either side of the welcome sign. This is an older stencil, you'll notice, because the green is really dark, and the newer stencils have a lighter green. But I'm not even really sure how Chocateur meant for this to be used. This is just how I decided to use it. I'm going to dry the paste with the heat gun, or the hot air gun, however you want to call it. And I already sprayed the background, but I should go back and spray the chalk paste too, because it really does need to be set. I have some just regular twine there, and I'm going to make the awareness shape, cinch it in the middle, and then wrap the twine around it, and wrap it nice and tight because the ribbon does not have wire in it. So you want it tight in the middle so you can poof out the bow. I'm just going to put it on there with some hot glue. And then I knew it was probably going to look a little too sparse. So what I did is, well, first I sort of popped the tail up, and I cut it on an angle rather than a dovetail because I wanted it above the letters. Then I put in those eucalyptus sticks that I showed you in the beginning. since I didn't put it all put everything together and then put it down, I put the bow down first, and then I just lifted part of the bow and glued the eucalyptus stick underneath the bow. Then I have those tiny little flowers that came from Temu, and I thought they would look kind of like the stalk what had blooms on it, like in spring. So I did a few of those, and then I had some leftover lamb's ear, just to sort of make it not quite as sparse. And I just hot glued that underneath the bow and on top of the eucalyptus. I love how this one turned out. I popped a hanging string on there. There were already holes from the original hanging string. And you'll see how I tried to get the words off and were completely unsuccessful. So better look at this one during the final reveal. My last recreation of this video is a fish shelf sitter. It was originally recreated by Patty J. Good for her video 6 High-End Neutral Coastal DIYs. So for this project, it's pretty simple. A fish shape from Dollar Tree, that nautical type netting from Dollar Tree, a dowel, and a square piece of wood. I cut mine in a square shape. And also some kind of rope to wrap on at the tail and at the head. So that's how Patty did hers. So to start things off, I'm going to remove the rope that is already on there because the rope I have is not the same width. So I'm just going to redo the tail and then do the head with the same rope that I have there on the left. And I just used a pair of pliers to pull off the rope that was there. Now for the head, I'm going to try and save my rope because I am close to the end there. So I'm not going to wrap it all the way around. What I'm going to do is staple it to start. Then on the front, I'll put down a little bit of hot glue to keep it straight. And then instead of wrapping it around, I'll bring it to the back. But I will staple it instead. That was to start. There's the strip of glue across. Now here's the back again, and we're just going to staple it. And see how with the staple I can just loop it around and bring it back to the front. So we'll do that one more time to do 3 strands. And thankfully I had lots of staples because it seems like I use my stapler a lot in this video. And I guess I showed you all the third one as well. One last staple. And I'm going to put the fishing net in. I just want to get an idea of how I want it. Well, the first time didn't work very well. I cut it off before looking at it, and it ended up being just like a string. So the next time I actually opened it up and had a good look at it and spread it across the fish. Got an idea of how much I was going to need, and then trimmed it off. So to start attaching the fishing net, I just used some hot glue on the back. Then I trimmed it on the other side and did the exact same thing. And you sure do need your finger protectors because I don't know how many times I burned myself before I realized I have like 10 or 20 finger protectors, so no excuse not to have one on. Spare yourself a blister. So for the tail, it's not as wide, and I'm just going to wrap the rope around 3 times to match what I did on the head. Then I'm coming in with one of the larger drill bits I have and drilling a hole in the bottom of the fish. And I did originally cut the dowel with a saw, but I came in and just kind of broke it with a pair of pliers. Just to make the dowel a little bit shorter, or else it's going to be too fragile and kind of all over the place. So I made it a little smaller, and then I used the same drill bit to cut a hole in the square piece of wood. Now, on the original, I saw some kind of rope on the bottom, so I decided to wrap the whole square, and then when I got to where the dowel comes in, wrap it a little bit around the bottom of the dowel. It's for looks, but also stability, and I'll show you a little bit of it right here. See how I'm bringing the string into the middle. And then I'll wrap it up maybe like an inch on the dowel, and you will see that during the final reveal. Coming right up. Pizza pan with canvas image. So the pizza pan came from Dollar Tree. The canvas image came from Temu. And most of the embellishments, I believe, came from Dollar Tree. To start things off, we're going to do a nice coat of matte Mod Podge over the whole pizza pan. And I put it on the edges too. I'm not sure why. I didn't paint the edges, and I didn't even really realize it until after I was done. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go back and do it or what. I mean, it looks fine to me. But yeah, so we're going to get a good coat of Mod Podge on here. Just a little bit more than I would use like with wood and stuff. And then I just put the pizza pan under a ceiling fan to get it nice and dry. Now I'm going to do like a dry fit of the canvas image and get an idea where I need to do a rough cut. And basically what I was trying to do is cut it the least amount possible. So like the top, the bottom, and that one side, I placed it so it was just touching the outside edge. So I wouldn't have to do like a huge amount of cutting. Excuse me. And so I just warmed up my hippo heat press there, and then when I was ready, put a parchment paper on top and just moved my hippo heat press all over it. I noticed the area where the canvas was going over the edge, that it wasn't setting down like I wanted it to. So I came in and started snipping away the parts where it goes over the edge, and then did the hippo heat press again and got a much better result. And I just love this image, and I love the sentiment. So I am so surprised that I haven't used it until now, but I am glad that I finally did. And it's a nice difference in pizza pans than what you normally see out there, like the calendar image. And don't get me wrong, I love putting calendar images on it. It's just that this is sort of a nice break from them. When I put the rope on for the border, I'm just trying to clean up the edges. That's why I don't try real hard to get them clean when I originally cut them, because I know I'm going to go over them with the rope. And I like to hold the rope down a little bit extra. I find that puts it right up against the edges, and it gives it like a clean fit, like it fits the curve nicely. It doesn't look crooked. And I have seen crooked before, and it just makes me crazy. So that's why I like to just hold it for a little bit longer than normal. Now these are some Temu florals. If you watched my Team Floral Haul. You saw these. It comes as a little bouquet, which is really nice. And I've used them as bouquets before when I've gotten them in the past. But this time I decided just to cut 2 picks off the bouquet. And so I looked for 2 picks that were similar to be on either side of the swag. I also did some greenery there, the eucalyptus, and then tied everything together with some twine. I'm also using the same ribbon. It's not wired, so you kind of want to like fluff it up as you go. And so I just did the awareness shape and cinched it in the middle, and then wrapped some twine around it and tied it in the back. You can do your bow bigger or smaller, it just all depends. I was kind of going for like a medium size. I had a smaller bow ready and I didn't like it, so I undid it and made a bigger one. And again, just holding down the hot glue there. And you're going to get a great look at this during the final reveal. Okay, the third and final project is this Farm Fresh organic sign. I did it once before like this. That's a just a thin wood blank from Dollar Tree. So now I'm going to do it, and I have room to include the words. Bought this beautiful black tag from Walmart, and again, it was super on sale. And all these projects, they look so fantastic, but they're also really quick. Like, I did 3 projects in 3 hours, and it took me longer to put the video together than I actually did to create the projects. And I just love the outcome of all of them. So again, I have the cutlery for embellishment, and this time I'm coming in with the white chalk paste. Now both of my chalk pastes, I only buy black and white for the tubs, because I get the packets in the Club Couture, and I save a lot of them, or only use like 1 or 2 of them. So I have like a whole bunch left over. And it may be time to get new tubs, but you can use distilled water to loosen it up. So that's what I did. And you'll see me just like the last one. I squeegeed a little, lifted it, squeegeed a little, and lifted it. And finally coming in at the end here. And wow, look at that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It looks so good. Those tags from Walmart, it's a nice, thick, dark wood. It is black, but you can see the wood grain underneath. And I'm just like in awe. I think it just came out so nice. I could not decide how to do the embellishments at top. I couldn't figure out, do I use 2 forks? Do I use a fork and a knife? Do I crisscross them? What do I do? And I made a bow just in case. So I thought, how about we do like kitty corner kind of thing with it? So we'll do the bow on one side and the cutlery on the other side. It's a little different. This is definitely out of the box. But, I mean, it's just beautiful and quirky, and I just love it. And I'll give you a better look at it during the final reveal. So I hope you enjoyed the first compilation of the year. Stay tuned for 11 more in 2026. As always, don't forget to watch, like, and subscribe. Time these days is precious, and I appreciate the time that you spent with me. See you soon.